There's a moment most people don't talk about because it doesn't show up on a spreadsheet. It's the moment you open your bank app and you don't feel the urge to close it immediately. Not because you're rich, not because you've made it, but because nothing bad is about to happen. No silent panic, no mental math, no background fear humming while you scroll. That moment feels small, but it quietly changes how you move through the world. And most people assume it happens when you reach some impressive number. It doesn't. It happens when money stops being an emergency signal to your nervous system. Most financial advice teaches you to chase outcomes. Higher income, bigger savings, impressive milestones. But what it rarely explains is why, even as the numbers improve, the stress often doesn't go away. Why smart people can earn more, save more, invest more, and still feel fragile. The reason is simple and uncomfortable. Money decisions aren't made by logic. They're made by a brain that's trying to avoid threat. When your financial life feels unstable, your brain stays in survival mode. Every decision becomes reactive. You don't choose what's best. You choose what reduces anxiety fastest. In survival mode, you take the job you don't like because you can't afford to wait. You stay longer than you should because leaving feels dangerous. You say yes to things you don't want because saying no feels risky. Even when you do save or invest, it feels tense, fragile, reversible. That's why progress feels slow and exhausting at the beginning. Not because you're bad with money, but because your brain is busy protecting you, not growing you. Then something subtle starts to change. Not overnight, not dramatically. It's not a celebration moment. It's the quiet realization that a small problem doesn't threaten your entire life anymore. A bill shows up and it's annoying, not catastrophic. A repair is inconvenient, not destabilizing. And that shift does something powerful. It gives your brain permission to think beyond the next crisis. This is the point where behavior changes. Not because you learned a better strategy, but because fear loosened its grip. When fear recedes, your instincts change. You stop obsessing over every small purchase because you're no longer trying to control chaos. Instead, you start paying attention to the decisions that actually shape your future, where you live, how committed your lifestyle is, how flexible your expenses are, how dependent you are on constant income. You stop asking, "Can I afford this right now?" and start asking, "What does this lock me into?" That's not discipline. That's clarity. This is also when work feels different. When you're financially fragile, your job owns you. You can't push back. You can't pause. You can't risk being misunderstood. But when money stops being an emergency, your posture changes. You negotiate differently. You choose differently, often without saying a word. And ironically, that confidence tends to attract better opportunities, not because you're chasing them harder, but because you're no longer desperate for them. Here's the part most people get wrong. They think this shift comes from hitting a specific savings target. So when they finally feel a little relief, they immediately convert it into lifestyle upgrades. Bigger commitments, higher fixed costs, new obligations. And without realizing it, they teach their brain that safety is temporary and must be spent quickly before it disappears. Relief becomes normal. Normal becomes pressure. Pressure becomes stress again. The loop resets. The real breakthrough isn't a number. It's learning to let safety stay boring, to not rush to turn relief into upgrades, to let margin exist without explaining it, justifying it, or spending it. That's when money stops feeling like something you wrestle with and starts feeling like something that supports you quietly in the background. This is why smart people struggle with money. Not because they don't understand it, but because they normalize progress faster than they notice it. Money follows behavior, and behavior follows what your nervous system believes is safe. When you change that relationship, the math finally starts working in your favor, not because the numbers are bigger, but because you are calmer. If this made you rethink what financial progress actually feels like, this channel isn't about targets or hacks. It's about noticing the patterns that quietly decide whether money becomes stability or just another source of pressure. Because once you see those patterns, You stop chasing relief and start building something that lasts.